What's going on, everyone? I'm Encore. This is Tomorrow Never Comes. And perfect timing for me to release a video. Mainly because the market seems to be tanking. Bitcoin's down. And as Bitcoin goes, everything tends to follow suit. And usually follows suit in a much nastier form than what Bitcoin goes down. So that's just the nature of the beast as it stands today. And so what I like to do when I come on here, especially when the market is tanking or at least correcting, is to provide reasons, or not even reasons, is to really provide fundamentals. Not only just for Bitcoin, but the entire space. But like I said, as long as Bitcoin is strong and holding firm and growing and continuing to expand and improve, the rest of the market's going to follow suit. And there's no question anymore. Is Bitcoin going to stay? Is it going to go to zero? Like, all that nonsense is out the window. It is here to stay. It is here to grow. It is here to invade every single industry, if it already hasn't, to some degree. All right. So, but I want to get into it. I want to get into while everyone's kind of focusing on price action. I always like then to look at fundamentals. What else is coming down the pipeline? What news is there that can bolster that opinion that I have that Bitcoin is here to stay and proliferate? Okay. So, and if you guys don't know, there is a massive Bitcoin conference going on right now. I believe it ends tomorrow, April 6th or April 9th, I believe is the conference. It's essentially the whole week is where it runs, but the official events, I think, are between April 6th and April 9th. It's once a year. It's literally where everyone goes just to talk about Bitcoin, and all the big players are in there, from Michael Saylor's, Peter Thiel's even in there, and just Kevin O'Leary. Anyone who's anyone is usually here at these conferences, at this particular one. And just really, and there's always, like I'm going to show now, some announcements that come through that only happen at the conference itself, which is always big news for Bitcoin. So if we look here, I'm not sure if this was up to date or not, but we're looking at Bitcoin just under 43,000 US. ETH is kind of holding pat, near 3,200, right? But this is a far cry from maybe even 2-3 weeks ago, where Bitcoin was sitting around 48, and I think it touched 48,000, and ETH had hit over 3,500. So definitely has dipped. But what's happening? What's come through in this conference itself, right? And so right here, this was a big one. This is a big announcement here, is that Shopify has partnered with Strike. Okay, so right here, Strike, which is a global e-commerce giant. Strike, which is a payment processor, has integrated with a global e-commerce giant, Shopify. So merchants can accept Bitcoin payments via the Bitcoin Lightning Network. Now, if you don't know, Bitcoin, the whole protocol, is the base layer, and the Lightning Network is a layer 2 that kind of sits on top. Really, it's there to facilitate transactions, increase transaction speed, allow Bitcoin to be scalable, and allow more use cases, because you can actually transact quickly, efficiently, and very minimal fees when it comes to Bitcoin. So the Lightning Network, which is a layer 2, is very, very important to Bitcoin scaling beyond just a store of value, right? So this goes on to say that the Strike CEO Jack Mallers revealed a new integration on stage at Miami's Bitcoin 2022 conference on Thursday. It says the move could allow Shopify's almost 2 million global merchants to accept Bitcoin payments denominated in United States dollar. So that's pretty big, right? 2 million global merchants. Shopify is the world's 18th largest e-commerce company with about 4.6 billion in annual revenue, across 175 different countries. All right, so it kind of goes on to say that any online merchant that uses Shopify can accept payments, receive it instantly, cash final, no intermediary, and no 3% fee. Right, so that is, I've always talked about, and anyone else who is a Bitcoin supporter has always talked about how the whole point is to own your own assets, to remove any middlemen, right? Any intermediaries need to go. And that's what it's there So you have control over your own assets. So Lightning Network brings this out into many more use cases, as mentioned, right? And so then, so it's going on to say that one of the main advantages of using Bitcoin being Lightning is that payments settle nearly instantly instead of the late 2 to 15 day settlement. All right, so that's a pretty big deal. You're not waiting 2 to 15 days for that settlement to come through, right? Now, Strike has also revealed partnerships with Blackhawk Payment Network, which is the largest point of sale supplier in the world. So they draw about 2.5 billion annual revenue and has products over, at over 400,000 storefronts in 28 countries. So very heavy integration. Not only just point of sale, just, the point of sale company and the units involved that can facilitate this transaction as well, but the merchants, the amount of people on Shopify who can now accept payments in Bitcoin is phenomenal. Phenomenal news, right? And this, again, use case. Everybody always used to hate on Bitcoin, saying, what are the use cases? You're just gonna stick it in your USB, your cold wallet? What else can you do with it? Well, here we go. So now the use cases are starting to kind of build in. All right, so that was a big one. So Strike partnering with Shopify, and also to a lesser extent, but all within the same lesser extent in terms of name recognition, is the Blackhawks payment. But all three of those integrated together, massive exposure for Bitcoin, and not just from a retail perspective, not just from peer to peer, but from merchant as well, peer to merchant, right? Or customer to merchant, I should say. So that's a very big deal. All right, and the next one we have is, I'm going to start this off with a tweet here. And so this is former CEO of Twitter, now only CEO of what was formerly known as Square, but now Block. He put out a tweet here, Jack Dorsey put out a tweet, is that we're working with Blockstream to build a 100% solar-powered Bitcoin mining facility. So think about that for a second, okay? We're getting news of this magnitude where we're gonna facilitate something with solar power. That's a pretty big news on its own. Okay, but they want to do Bitcoin mining with solar-powered energy. So for any of those who are saying that Bitcoin is using, god-awful amount of energy and it's sapping and it's not good for the climate, well, here you go. Solar-powered, just to get Bitcoin mining up and running. Now, what's even better is that these two, beyond with just these two partnering up, is the fact that Tesla's involved. Okay, so Tesla, Block, and Blockstream all team up, and this is going to be a solar-powered mining operation in Texas. Okay, and so what's going to happen is Block and Blockstream are actually going to build the facility, and Tesla's going to supply the actual power to the facility, the solar power. So you are getting guys like Jack Dorsey and Elon Musk coming together. These three companies are big companies, very well-known companies, and for them to work together to do this, you just can't ignore it. Absolutely cannot ignore it. So that is also very big news. I mean, we could go through some of the article here, but all it's essentially saying is that it's a big deal just name-wise, but also the fact that it's solar-powered. It's 100% solar-powered. All that climate talk is out the window when this goes through, and this will just be the first. Who knows how many more are to come down in the pipeline. And finally, right here at the actual Miami conference, is you have Peter Thiel speaking about Bitcoin, and I'll say this is kind of very interesting. I respect everything that he's done. Obviously a very intelligent man, not only just with what he's done, when he was with PayPal and whatnot, but investment wise and everything across the board. Very, very obviously well-known guy for a reason. But man, the way he speaks is not what I would expect for a guy of his caliber. A lot of ums in there, and that kind of gets to me, but you can't hate on the content. The content is real. But I just wanted to throw that in there when I kind of listened to this. But I just want to go through something that he said. in relation to Bitcoin being compared not just to gold, but to the entire equities market. So the stock market, the S&P. Very interesting.
In something that's like a government-linked entity, woke companies are sort of quasi-controlled by the government in a way that Bitcoin never will be. And in that sort of a world...
So key point there is that Bitcoin cannot be controlled by any single entity or a small group of individuals. Whereas obviously we know companies in Web 2.0 version definitely can and are controlled that way.
I would submit that perhaps the way you should think of the Bitcoin to equity ratio, the benchmark for Bitcoin is not gold, but equities. And the question is, why can't there be parity between Bitcoin and equities? Why shouldn't we be talking about something more like 100 to 1? Which of course won't be as good as it sounds, because the fiat money will be worth a lot less and it'll be taxed pretty heavily and whatnot. But I think, I'm still hopeful that if Bitcoin goes up by a factor of 100, you'll make some money, a modest amount of money, in real terms.
So he's not even talking about 10x. He's talking about 100x from here on out. So it's at 42,000, 43,000. We're looking at 4.3 million. For today's prices. I mean, Kathy Wood has said up to 5 million for one Bitcoin. So as these numbers may seem far-fetched or ridiculous, just remember that at one point, Bitcoin was at $1, $500, $900. And anyone who ever said that it was going to be 43,000 US would have had the same thought process that you are out of your mind. So there are a lot of things that are happening, and I didn't touch on this, and I won't pull up the article now, but even Mexico has talked about bringing Bitcoin as legal tender. So all these things are playing out, and so don't get fooled by the price. A lot of things are happening that are mainstays for Bitcoin, that are there to really going to enhance Bitcoin's exposure, Bitcoin's use cases, and just the entire crypto space going forward. So do not get fooled by price action. I can't stress that enough. I hammer that home. If we're seeing prices dip, usually is a good time to buy, right? Again, Bitcoin and ETH, those are the blue chips. Those are the staples. Obviously, what I'm saying is not financial advice. This is my own opinion. It's something I do, right? This is not a belief. I can show you article after article of the fundamentals. This is here to stay. Okay, so let's put it this way. What if they're right? What if it is 4.3 million? What if it is 5 million a Bitcoin? You have the opportunity now to buy some today. And remember, you do not need to buy an entire Bitcoin. This is not like a stock market where one share, the price of Bitcoin is one share. It does not work that way. $10, $50, $100, whatever you have, put some in and you will get a piece of that Bitcoin. And just continue to buy as much as you can. All right? So only 21 million, 19 million has been minted. So we're looking at about 2 million left over the next 118 years or so. Scarce, with lots of use cases and a lot of things happening under the hood and behind closed doors. All right, guys. Hope you found value in this. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, do all that good stuff. Remember, tomorrow never comes. Do your own research. Hopefully some of the sites I showed you will allow you to do that and just get in the game. See you guys in the next one.